Hello everyone, and welcome back to this new tutorial. Today, we're going to take an in-depth look at DEM Suite, exploring all the available tags, their parameters, and the different ways they can be used together to create powerful procedural animations inside Cinema 4D. For those who are not familiar with it yet, DEM Suite is a plugin for Cinema 4D designed to simplify the animation process by allowing you to create complex motions and effects without relying on traditional keyframing. With a collection of easy-to-use procedural tags, it helps speed up your workflow while keeping your animations flexible and easy to adjust. Throughout this tutorial, I'll explain how each tool works, share practical examples, and show you how to get the most out of the plugin in your daily workflow. So, let's get started. To make things easier, we've customized the Cinema 4D palettes and placed all the DEM Suite tags we'll be covering throughout this tutorial here in the sidebar. This way, we can access them quickly and focus on understanding how each one works. Here we have our controller model, and we're going to start by applying the first tag, DEM_move. We'll take a closer look at these fields later in the tutorial, but for now let's start by adding a new layer. The first option we see is enabled, which allows us to enable or disable the layer. Right below, we have the X, Y, and Z axes, which determine the direction in which the object will move. It's also possible to combine multiple axes at the same time. Next, we have amount, which defines the distance the object will travel. Beside it, we can choose whether the movement is calculated in global or local coordinates. Further down, we have start, which specifies the frame where the layer animation begins, and end, which defines the frame where the animation finishes. Below that, we find ease shape, where we can select the interpolation curve type, including linear, sine, circ, quad, cubic, and back. Next to it is ease mode, which controls how the selected curve behaves, allowing us to choose between in out, and out in. Let's set up a simple movement on the Y-axis and press play. We can use multiple layers with different animation types and settings, even within the same frame range. These layers are blended together, creating a single combined motion. This approach gives us virtually endless possibilities without the need to build complex hierarchies or animation rigs. Another important feature worth highlighting is the ability to adjust parameters while the timeline is playing. This allows us to experiment with the animation in real time and instantly see how our changes affect the final motion, making the creative process much faster and more intuitive. One of the features introduced in version 2.0 is offset frames, which allows us to shift an entire animation made up of multiple layers by a specific number of frames, either forward or backward in time. Time stretch is another extremely useful feature that lets us compress or extend the duration of an entire animation while preserving the timing relationships between all its layers. Imagine having multiple objects that need to share the same animation, but with different start times or playback speeds. Instead of rebuilding the animation from scratch, you can simply copy the tags to other objects and adjust the offset frames or time stretch values to quickly create unique variations. Let's add some rotation to our animation. As mentioned earlier, DEM Suite tags can be combined together, allowing us to create virtually any type of animation, from simple motions to much more complex setups on one or multiple objects. For now, let's disable the Move tag and focus on DEM_rotate. Let's add a new layer. We'll choose the rotation axis. Let's choose a rotation on the X-axis. Define the rotation amount and set the animation frame range. Just like before, we can choose whether the rotation is calculated in local or global space. Next, we'll set up the animation curve. As you can see, everything updates in real time while the timeline is playing. Now let's go back to the Move tag and create something a bit more interesting. In the second layer, we'll switch the coordinate mode from global to local. Let's enable the Move tag again. As you can see, we've created a much more complex animation in just a few seconds, something that would normally require significantly more setup in Cinema 4D. One of the biggest advantages of this workflow is that we can modify any parameter at any time while the timeline is running and immediately see the result. This allows us to experiment with animations in a procedural and non-destructive way, making it fast and easy to explore different creative solutions. Let's add another rotate layer. This time, we'll choose a different rotation axis, define the rotation amount, and set the frame range over which the animation will take place. Next, we'll select the animation curve and its behavior. As you can see, we've added another layer of motion to our animation, making it more dynamic and interesting. We can preview and evaluate the animation at any time by scrubbing back and forth through the timeline. Let's see what happens when we add another tag. We'll add the DEM Scale tag. Just like with the previous tags, we'll start by creating a new layer. Next, we'll define the animation frame range and set the scale value to 200%. Let's play the animation and see the result. As with all DEM Suite tags, we can experiment with different curve types and adjust any parameter in real time while the timeline is playing. This makes it easy to quickly explore different animation styles and fine-tune the motion until we achieve the desired result. One of the key advantages of this system is the ability to enable or disable individual layers in real time. We can also adjust the speed of an animation or shift its timing independently for each tag, without affecting the rest of the setup. This gives us complete control over every element of the animation while keeping the workflow simple, flexible, and entirely non-destructive. Instead of dealing with large numbers of keyframes and manually editing animation curves, we can focus on experimenting, iterating, and refining the motion in a much faster and more intuitive way. Let's take a look at the capture function. This feature allows us to redefine the starting state of an entire animation. As you can see, the object's position and movement are currently being controlled by the tag, which means we can't freely move it while the tag is active. However, if we temporarily disable the tag, reposition the object, and then click Capture, the new transform will be stored as the animation's starting point. When we re-enable the tag, the animation will behave exactly as before, but it will now start from the new position we've defined. The same principle applies to every DEM Suite tag. For example, we can do the same thing with DEM Rotate, preserving the animation while changing its initial orientation. This makes it easy to reuse the same animation setup across different objects or scenes without having to recreate or adjust the animation itself. Now let's take a look at the DEM Pivot Tag. Our controller already has a rotate animation applied. So let's add a pivot tag on top of it. We'll create a new layer, set the animation frame range, choose the Z-axis, and select the animation curves. As you can see, the pivot remains in place while the object moves away from its own axis during the rotation, creating a much more dynamic and interesting motion. This allows us to create unique animations on a single object without having to build complex rigs or hierarchies. Just like move and rotate, we can use familiar controls and animation curves, but this time we're affecting only the object's pivot behavior. To recreate a similar animation in Cinema 4D using traditional keyframes, we would typically need to place the object inside multiple parent groups and animate each level separately. This not only increases setup time, but also makes the animation more difficult to manage and modify later on. With DEM Suite's layer-based workflow, we can create this type of animation in just a few seconds and easily modify any parameter at any time without having to rebuild the entire setup. Just like the other tags, DEM_pivot allows us to work with multiple layers, giving us the flexibility to create virtually any type of animation, from the simplest movements to much more complex motion setups. It's important to keep in mind that viewport performance may vary depending on the complexity of the object and the hardware being used. When working with very dense meshes or multiple animated objects, you may experience slower playback in the viewport. This does not affect the final animation result, but it can make real-time previewing less responsive. To improve performance while working, you can temporarily deselect the object containing the DEM Suite tag. This reduces the amount of interface updates being processed and can help achieve smoother playback and a more responsive viewport experience, especially in complex scenes. The DEM_Visible Tag is very simple, yet extremely useful. This tag allows us to define a specific frame range, or even individual frames, during which an object will be visible. All we need to do is enter the desired frame numbers into the Visible Custom Frames field, and the object will only be visible on those frames. This provides a quick and flexible way to control object visibility directly from the tag, without the need to animate visibility parameters manually with traditional keyframes. Now let's take a look at the DEM_Spline tag. In our scene, we have a controller object and a spline path. Let's add the DEM_Spline tag to the controller. The first thing we need to do is drag our spline into the Add Path field. Once the path has been assigned, we can enable the tangential option, which automatically aligns the object to the direction of the spline as it moves along the path. Let's add a new layer and set up our animation parameters. The amount value represents the percentage of the spline path that the object will travel along. Just like with the other DEM Suite tags, we can add as many layers as we need and combine them to create different animation variations and more complex motion setups. We can also add rotation layers, giving us the ability to rotate the object independently while maintaining its animation along the spline. As with all DEM Suite layers, we can configure its parameters completely independently from the others, allowing us to fine-tune every aspect of the animation with maximum flexibility. It's important to note that DEM Suite tags can be used on virtually any type of object. In this example, we have a spline, a camera, a target null, and a standard target tag applied to the camera. Let's add the DEM_Spline tag to the camera and drag our spline into the Add Path field. One useful feature is the Start Position parameter, which allows us to define the initial position of the object along the spline before the animation begins. Let's add a new layer and configure our animation parameters. Just like in the previous example, we can add a rotate layer to create a more dynamic and interesting camera movement. This tutorial is intended to demonstrate the core features and fundamental workflow of the plugin, but it's important to keep in mind that DEM Suite is capable of much more complex and sophisticated animations. By combining multiple layers across different tags, it's possible to build highly customized motion setups while maintaining the same level of flexibility and control throughout the entire animation process. Let's continue by taking a look at the DEM_Multi Tag. In this example, our controller is made up of multiple separate objects, each representing a different part of the model. We'll apply the DEM_Multi Tag to the parent group that contains all of these objects. Once the tag has been added, we can simply click the Load Objects from Null button, and all child objects will automatically be loaded into the list. Of course, objects can also be added manually by dragging them into the list, and their order can be rearranged at any time to achieve different animation results. Let's create a new layer. One of the main parameters is distribution, which controls how the animation value is applied across the objects in the list. With normal, every object receives the same value. With explode, the value increases progressively based on the object's position in the list, creating a staggered effect where each object receives a larger amount than the previous one. If we set space to local, each object will move along its own local axis, creating an effect where the model appears to break apart or explode outward. Now let's create another layer to bring the model back together. All we need to do is use the opposite values, and the model will reassemble itself. To make the animation more interesting, we can start this second layer before the first one has finished. By overlapping the two animations, we can create a more dynamic and natural-looking motion. As mentioned earlier, every DEM Suite tag can be combined with the others. Let's add a Rotate tag and set up our animation parameters. As you can see, the model now rotates while the individual parts are moving apart, allowing us to create a more dynamic animation by combining multiple effects together. Let's also add a Move tag to our animation and combine it with the effects we've already created. This is just a quick example to showcase the basic functionality of the plugin. Don't be afraid to experiment by combining different tags, layers, and parameter settings. That's where DEM Suite really shines. The goal is to give you the flexibility and freedom to create the animations you want, without being limited by traditional workflows. And the best part is that everything can be adjusted in real time, allowing you to instantly see the results and refine your animation as you go. As your animation becomes more complex, you may find yourself working with a large number of layers. To keep the workspace clean and organized, you can easily collapse or expand individual layers whenever needed. This helps save screen space and makes it much easier to manage your animation while adding, modifying, or removing layers. Another advantage we've already mentioned is the ability to reuse the same animation on different objects. Here we have our controller, which is already animated, and a pair of sunglasses with no animation applied. Instead of rebuilding the animation from scratch, we can simply copy the DEM Suite tags and apply them to the new object, allowing us to quickly transfer the same motion while maintaining full control over all the parameters. In real production workflows, this can save a significant amount of time by letting you reuse and adapt existing animations instead of rebuilding them for every new object. So, that's it for this tutorial. I hope this video has given you a clear understanding of how DEM Suite works and how its different tags can be combined to create increasingly complex and flexible procedural animations inside Cinema 4D. DEM Suite is a project that continues to evolve, with new features and improvements constantly being developed based on real production needs and community feedback. I'd like to thank everyone who has supported the project so far. Your feedback, suggestions, and support have been instrumental in helping DEM Suite grow and improve with every new release. If you have ideas, feature requests, or simply want to share what you've created with the plugin, feel free to get in touch. Community feedback is an important part of the development process and helps shape future updates. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.